This next question, we will start with Dave. And the question is, Loveland has a food sales tax. What is your view on the food tax? And if it were rescinded, what money would replace these receipts? How does the tax affect various income groups?
Thank you for that question. As a matter of fact, just last week at the City Council meeting, I raised that very question. As we look at our budget, which just came through for approval, there was very little change to that budget even after the disaster flood that we've had. My comment, and from what I see is, and according to what the budget says, we have a surplus of funds. So I raised the question, if we have this surplus of funds, why don't we consider looking at either reducing or eliminating the food tax that we've had here for the last several years? That would benefit all the citizens of Loveland, particularly those who are struggling the most.
I agree that the food tax ought to be reviewed. My basic view on that is a food tax is a very regressive tax. It affects those who are least able to pay it most.
The food tax does impact people on a limited income heavily. And it does make sense in this day and age to cut that tax back.
I would wholeheartedly support the repeal of the food tax, but I wouldn't stop there. I would take a look at all of the taxes, all of the fees that all of us in the city of Loveland pay.
Carol.
The food tax should be repealed, period.
Thank you. Joan?
It's fun to get this question. I brought this up my first year on council at our council retreat, along with former council member Kent Solt. It's come up in every annual council retreat, now we call them advances, every year. It's gotten no traction. I brought this up again recently from the dais. I wholeheartedly support looking at this issue and understanding what we live on the backs of people's grocery bills.
Thank you.
I think we have to look at this, and I think what we're setting ourselves up to do in this next year, government runs slowly, and so we tend to want things quickly that we often get over time. We're going to take a look at our budget in the next year. It'll probably take more than a year to go deep down into it and take a look at it. I think that this food tax could be easily repealed. I think it would be, in agreement with Dave Hallett, I think it is a little regressive. And I think it's one of those things that when we can do something for our community, we do.
What is your approach to monetary incentives for businesses?
Monetary incentives for businesses are just like what I would do in my own personal investment portfolio. First, you have to know what you're investing in, and you have to know whether or not that investment is going to be successful. What's the return on your investment? And the biggest and most critical issue you have to deal with is, will you get a return on that investment? Because if the investment you're being asked to make doesn't make good business sense, don't invest. If someone can show you that what you're going to do is get a return of your dollar, invest. And that's what I do with my own money. I would do no different. I would never risk the taxpayer's dollar on ventures that are up here.
Daryl.